Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. I am so excited for this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. I'm finally getting the chance to actually do my makeup and sit down in front of the camera and just talk about what today's topic is going to be, which is all of the jobs I have held in the past, as well as being a nurse, as well as what I got paid in every position. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So yeah, it has been a crazy semester, and as you guys saw from my last week in the life as a medical student vlog, things have been absolutely crazy the past month, or I guess in the beginning when medical school first started, but now it has definitely died down and things are getting a little bit easier. I'm getting into the flow of things, learning how to study a little bit more efficiently since I've been out of school for so long. So I finally get a chance to sit down and talk to you guys, and I'm really excited about that. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the video and just start with my very first job. So I just want to mention my very first job, which wasn't actually a job where you needed like a work permit. It was just something that I did when I was really young, and I started when I was 12 years old, and that was teach piano lessons. Now, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on my channel or ever done this, but I have played piano since I was 5 or 6 years old is when I started. And when I was about 12, I started teaching piano lessons to kids that were younger than me, which sounds weird to say right now because I was so young when I was doing it, but I was teaching kids when they turned about 5-6 years old, which is usually the age when kids start playing, although they can start younger than that. But I used to teach younger kids piano and theory and performance and all that fun stuff. I did that from when I was 12 to 16 years old. When I graduated high school, and I made $20 an hour doing that, and that was to me a ton of money back then. It helped me buy clothes and go to the mall with my friends and be able to buy my own food and everything. So I really enjoyed doing that, but it's not like I had a ton of students at the time because I was always in school. I usually did this on the weekends. I usually had around like 2 to 3 students at a time, and they would come either every week or every 2 weeks. So it was just a little bit of cash that I got when I was 12 to 16, so I really enjoyed doing it. I finished when I was 16 years old, or when I graduated high school, and that is when I began my first official real out in the world job, which was retail. My first official job where I had to turn in all these papers and I felt like an official worker was working at Aeropostale. And I absolutely loved working here because the environment was so fun, my coworkers were so fun, my managers were absolutely amazing. So it was one of the best like beginner work experiences, and I have absolutely no complaints of working there. I remember being a cash wrap specialist, and I usually did cashier, but I would also help fold and go on the floor and clean and do all this stuff as well. So I mostly did cashier. I feel like I did a fair share of folding and cleaning before I became a cash wrap specialist. So when I did that, I made $7.25 an hour, which was and is the minimum wage in Texas. So I believe it's still $7.25, which is so low, but to me, like, I don't know, I felt like that was like extra cash for me to buy clothes. So each shift was probably about like 5 to 6 hours, but sometimes I'd work double shifts to make like extra money, especially during the summers. And yeah, it was just cool to have like my own cash to like buy clothes, which I bought a ton of clothes there all the time with my discount, and just used it during college whenever I was in college. So my manager was so awesome. They let me just work on the weekends, or kind of whenever I wanted, honestly. When I went to college, I only went to college about 45 minutes away from where I actually lived, so I would go home on the weekends a lot, but I lived on campus in the dorm, which was great because I got to go home and, you know, see my mom whenever I was homesick. So I thought that was really cool. And I also got to go and work at Aeropostale whenever I came home on the weekends. So I pretty much worked there from 16 to 20, all 4 years. As you guys know, I did a 4-year curriculum to become a BSN registered nurse. So I did that for 4 years officially until I graduated and started working as a nurse. I really enjoyed it because to this day, like, I have a certain way of folding clothes, which is exactly the same way they fold at Aeropostale. So I thought it was great learning skills to fold efficiently and like how to edge and everything. So I thought that was awesome. I really loved working there. My next official job was working at the school, and I was a microbiology teacher's assistant where I helped do the lab for microbiology. So I helped with making bacteria to prep for their lab course. I helped grade. I did all these cool things that I absolutely loved. So I did it from my junior year to senior year. So I did it for 2 years, and I finished microbiology my sophomore year. So I was able to actually do the lab after I finished the class. And it was so cool because I got to just kind of like work on my own time and help out in the lab when I could, because I was really busy with like nursing school and volleyball. So I remember like not being able to teach the lab as much, but I was able to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which like I made bacteria and did all that fun stuff, which I love because I can just come in kind of whenever I wanted to. It was so flexible. The teacher was so wonderful in letting me be flexible and just come in kind of whenever I wanted. And I pretty much did all of the grading. I would just take all the papers back to my dorm room and just grade the papers whenever I had time, and then I would put in the grades before a certain deadline that the professor gave me. So I loved doing that as well, and I made $7.25 minimum wage, of course, doing that, which also sounds crazy now, but back then I just thought it was like great money to make while I was in school. Just having that flexibility to kind of just work and make some extra cash like kind of whenever I wanted. So I was very grateful for that opportunity. On the weekends I got to go home and work at Aeropostale. I got to make some good cash while I was in college at university for all of my 4 years, so I am very grateful. So on top of that, when I was a junior, I think it was the beginning of my junior year, I applied to be a patient care tech. This is similar to a CNA, but without the license. There's lots of different names for patient care tech depending on the hospital you work at the hospital you apply at. There's patient care tech, multi-skilled worker, CNA if you have the certified license. After you pass fundamentals of nursing, you are able to work as a patient care tech, multi-skilled worker, pretty much at any hospital that has the application. And lots of hospitals will say specifically for like nursing students, they'll have that like in the description because you don't have your CNA license, but you literally do the exact same work. So after I passed fundamentals of nursing the spring of my sophomore year, I applied to work as a patient care tech that summer before I was a junior. It was actually one of the hardest jobs I've ever worked. It was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed it because my coworkers made it so enjoyable. But I was a float pool patient care tech, and I worked on the med-surg units, ortho units, and the PCU, which is the progressive care unit. So I pretty much floated between those 3 units. Sometimes went to the ER, but not very often. And yeah, it was a ton of work. Like I ran my butt off everywhere. There was a lot of cleaning up patients, if you guys know what I mean. There was a lot of like Foley's and urine output and vital signs and blood sugars and C. diff. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It was not fun, and I did love the experience that I got, because a lot of the time that we learned things like in med-surg, because we have med-surg pretty much all 2.5 years of nursing school, I was able to relate the diseases and things that I saw at the hospital to what I was learning. So, and it really helped me with like questions in my med-surg classes. I was actually learning, and I knew it was going to really help me strengthen my resume whenever I started applying as a registered nurse. I knew the goal was to be a registered nurse and to be a competitive registered nurse whenever I graduated. I stuck through it from summer of my sophomore year before I became a junior all the way until I graduated and became a registered nurse. I absolutely loved the experience I got, and loved the coworkers, and loved the learning experience, but it was tough and it was a lot of work, and it made me realize that I did not want to do med-surg. Shout out to all the med-surg nurses out there. I could not do it. It is very hard. As a patient care tech, I made $12 an hour, and I usually did this on the weekends. I usually worked Fridays and Sundays, day shift, and yeah, I made $12 an hour for 12-hour shifts, and that pretty much helped me pay the rent. I lived with my sister, which was really fun, and we pretty much split an apartment. So doing that on the weekends, plus working at Aeropostale occasionally, and doing my microbio TA job, I pretty much had some good cash flowing in whenever I was in nursing school to help pay the bills and hang out with friends. So yeah, those were the few jobs I had, and they were pretty much all in college. And then I graduated at 20 years old as a registered nurse, a BSN registered nurse, and finally started my position as a OB-GYN nurse. As you guys know, I guess it depends on where you work. Of course, I live in Texas, so other states will obviously pay more. than what I'm about to tell you guys. Whenever I started as a new grad, the pay for a new grad nurse was $26 an hour. It was like 26 something an hour. I don't know. I think it was like $26.50 or something like that. Yeah, so that was the new grad starting pay. And after you pass your 6-month residency training, your pay increased like $2 or $3. So I think it went from like 26 to 28 or 29 something, and some change, some cents. I don't know what it was exactly, but that's how much I got. And every year we would get a yearly increase in our wage, and it was literally something like 20 to 50 cents depending on how well you're like graded according to like your team leaders and managers and everything. So if you're graded well, you get the highest wage for your hourly rate, which I think is like 50 cents or something like that, which if you calculate it over the long run, like a year, that's actually quite a bit of money. So I was thankful for whatever I got. So I pretty much got a yearly increase over the span of 4 years as I worked as a OB-GYN nurse, and then I cross-trained as a labor and delivery nurse. I did not get any extra money for doing that or for floating, which stinks. I know some hospitals will have a floating wage or floating differential if you float to a different unit, which I wish we had. If you guys aren't new here, you guys know my story. I applied to medical school and now I'm currently a first-year medical student. So I went from full-time to PRN, which pretty much means as needed, but you're required to work a certain amount of shifts. Some hospitals it's once a month, some hospitals it's once every 2 weeks, some hospitals it's once a week. So it just depends on what your PRN tier is. There's like different tiers of PRN. So I had to do that in order to move cities and come to medical school as a full-time student. So I'm currently PRN, and surprisingly I make more as a PRN nurse compared to a full-time or part-time nurse, only because I don't have benefits, which are the insurance benefits, the medical, dental, vision, which who needs those, right? No, I'm just kidding. I definitely have that currently, but I don't have it under my hospital. When I ended as a full-time nurse, my last hourly wage was about $32 an hour, and keep in mind this is a base pay. All hospitals have a base pay or base salary. Usually you get paid hourly if you're just a bedside floor nurse. So what I made was $32 plus a $4 an hour night differential plus a $4 an hour. How do I explain this? So we have like a point system at our hospital where like if you precepted students, did health walks, and if you did like reports or audits like on our unit, pretty much things that you did to help out the unit, you get all these points for. And the maximum amount of points you get like equates to like $6 an hour, but I was like a tier below that. Pretty much for the past couple years, I earned that tier below the top tier, and I made an extra $4 an hour. So it was the 32 plus the 4 plus the 4, which was another 8. So I made about $40 an hour with all my differentials. If you worked weekends, you made an extra $6. So there's lots of differentials, and it all depends on like the hospital you're at. Sometimes the weekend pay will be like $10 an hour. Sometimes the nightly pay is a lot more. So it all depends on the hospital that you work at, but mine was total of $40 an hour with all my differentials. If I worked a weekend, it would be $46 an hour. Making this base pay on top of all my differentials equated to about $70,000 a year. That's how much I made as a full-time nurse. And when I became PRN in July, whenever I had to come down here for medical school, my base pay increased from 32 to 40, and all my differentials stayed the same. My night shift differential, my weekend differential, but I did lose those points because you have to be like a full-time nurse to get it. But since I only work weekends because I have school from Monday through Friday, I make $51 an hour with all my differentials, weekend, nights, and my base pay. So that's how much I'm currently making as a registered nurse while in medical school. But as you guys know, I don't work that often. I pretty much work about once a month. So as you can even out, that's not a lot of money over the whole month, but during Christmas break, I hope to make all that money back and just work my butt off and make money for Christmas gifts and to save up for you know, bills and apartments and everything. And that's gonna be another video I hope to make soon. I know a few of you guys have asked me to make a video about how I'm currently living and how I am affording things in medical school. I'm definitely going to be making a video about that soon, doing a little Q&A for you guys. So I hope this answered some of your questions, and if you are interested in becoming an OB or labor and delivery nurse, please watch some of my videos that I have posted. And I hope you now know some of the wages that are offered in Texas, because I know that all of them are not the same in different states depending on where you live. I do not know what my camera is doing. It just died. So I just wanted to quickly finish up. It's been a few months since I've been PRN, so I can't tell you a yearly salary just because it just depends on how much you work as a PRN nurse. Obviously, you can work more if you want to, which is awesome. So yeah, that is the end of my video. I just wanted to film a quick outro since I don't know what my camera is doing. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and join the family and continue watching me on my journey. And leave me a comment if you guys have any suggestions on videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!